Chapter 1A, Abby. I don't get this, Connor said. What do you mean? I asked in return. I mean, think about it like this. We're dealing with something that the Queen herself has asked for hunters specifically. Jezebel wouldn't ask for hunters out in the open, especially dealing with problems that rise in Malcolm. I mean, yeah, I guess it makes no sense, but let's think about it like this. What kind of world are we living in nowadays? I've started hearing rumors, none of them good. What do you mean? Well, let's get this out of the way. What you did with Dalen is not a good thing. Me killing Dalen was a bad thing? No. You misunderstood. You killing Dalen was a good thing. Just the way you did it. Actually, now I want to think about it, I don't think it would have made a difference either way. But either way, right now, there's a power vacuum. Someone's going to try and fill that vacuum. I guess. But do you really think that this is going to cause problems for us? If our lives are to be believed, yes. This is going to be a pain in the neck. Oh, blasted. We're dead, aren't we? Pretty much, yeah. We walked to the palace, and the sky was quite cloudy. This is strange. What do you mean? This place is so lively right now. Is that a bad thing? For it to be lively? But it's about to rain. People usually be inside. Something's wrong. I mean, more so than it already is, with the Queen asking for our help specifically. I guess. Come on, let's get inside. When we got inside, it began to downpour quite quickly. Well, good thing we got out of the rain before it became a problem. Jezebel was sitting on her throne. She was moving her fingers, almost anticipating something. She walked over and said, "Hunters, oh, thank goodness you two are here." What seems to be the problem? Connor asked. How do I describe this? It's difficult to describe. Just let me show you. She carried us to the emergency medical wing. This is where the royal family, if they were ever injured, would come. It's filled to the brim with medical supplies, anything that the Queen needs, a special remedy that, could heal almost any wound. So, her taking us here is very bizarre. We saw a young boy, easily 12, I think. He looked rather sick. His skin was pale, his hair was dark, but it wasn't odd to me that I've seen. I've seen quite a bit in my life, and honestly, this isn't new to me. Then, she said, "This boy is sick." "Yeah, that's supposed to help us how exactly?" I said. I don't know how to describe this. He just appeared in front of the doorstep. He was dying, and I wanted to bring the hunters in. No doctor I have brought in has any idea what's wrong with him. They did find something, though, that is a little odd. Open his mouth. Connor opened his mouth gently. "Is that a barnacle?" "Yes. A barnacle. There's a barnacle attached to the roof of his mouth. How does that make any relevant sense?" And I said, "Well, Connor, in the life we live, sense very rarely ever has any meaning. Come on, let's check it out." Connor put his hand into the boy's mouth and felt a slight bite. "Ow! What's wrong?" "Little blasted thing bit me." It's obviously trying to defend itself. It doesn't want to leave. "Yeah, it looks burrowed there. It was pretty burrowed in deep. Going to need to remove it by force." Connor then reached 2 fingers into the back. I could see his other hand was grabbing the table, ready to pull as hard as he could. Oh, blasted! This thing's really wedged in there. You mind holding him down while I try to force it out of him? I put my hands on the boy's shoulders, and then Connor began to pull. Oh, blasted! Ah, this thing's really in there deep. Come on. You can come on out. It's not the end of the world for you. I mean, maybe it is. You're rambling again, Connor. Yeah, I know. Believe me, I'm well aware of that. Connor's developed a little bit of a habit of rambling when he is a little nervous. I don't know why and I don't know how, but he rambles. Come on. Oh, blasted, this thing's really in there deep. Do you think a knife could do work? Maybe. We need something smaller, though, than a dagger. I want to pierce his brain and kill him instantly. I handed him a small scalpel. He said, "This'll do." I then put my hands back on the boy's shoulders, and Connor opened his mouth. The boy resisted. The barnacle was taking over his mind, forcing him to do things he didn't do. Connor opened the boy's mouth with force, and then plunged the scalpel inside of the little crevice that was made with the barnacle. Blasted, this thing's still pretty in there deep. Come on. Blasted. Almost got it. I think it's coming loose. Then, a moment later, Connor was flying back. All that momentum and all that force was finally released. Oh no, not good! Crashed into another bed. Are you okay? I'm fine. The creature began to writhe. It was a barnacle, no doubt. It was a light gray barnacle with black tendrils coming out of the bottom where it was burrowing inside. Connor said, "Do we have something to put this thing in?" And it started to move on its own. It's moving. How do we stop it? It began to crawl up Connor's arm. A little help here would be great right now. He tried grabbing it, but it was too slippery. I then grabbed a small jar and ran over as fast as I could and closed it. What is this thing? I shrugged. I didn't know what it was, and blast if I knew. And it was very clearly not something I've seen before. So a barnacle attaches to a boy's mouth and then it attacks me? How does that make any sense? The boy then began to writhe in pain. We ran over and the boy threw up quite a bit of water and blood. I'd say about 50% of it was water, 10% of it was mucus, the rest was blood. That's an awful lot of blood. We should really be concerned then. Whatever that thing is, it was very clearly messing with his mind. His skin began to get a little darker, and his blood was beginning to flow again from what the looks of it. Jezebel said, "Well, it's at least nice to know that you hunters were able to do something about it." Wait, what do you mean, us hunters? You didn't hear? 2 other hunters came before you. What? 2 other hunters came here? Yeah, I called the Crimson Order before you. You called the Crimson Order? It seemed like a reasonable thing to do. Call hunters immediately. You should have called at least someone like the Moon Order. At least that would have made sense. Where are they right now? I haven't seen them for hours. How, though? You said they're here. Connor looked at me, and I looked at him. I said, "Lock the building down. No one gets in or out without my permission." Jezebel nodded. Guards began to patrol the entire castle. You couldn't go 5 feet without running into a guard. Alright, we're looking for 2 hunters, probably the source of that barnacle thing. Connor walked back out of the emergency room. He said, the boy is comatose. Probably going to be very confused. Look around for those hunters. We have to find them. They're probably the source. If not, they would know what's going on. We scavenged every single inch of the castle, but nothing. We couldn't find a single thing. Until we went to the cellar. The room was dark and quiet. We could hear noises in the darkness. Almost as if water was being stepped on. And strange, pus-like noises. It was a very odd feeling for me. Connor pulled out his blade and I pulled out my gun. We were ready for the worst. We walked over, slowly but surely. Then we found it. One of the hunters. Or at least their clothing. Connor picked up the medallion and saw the Crimson Order crest. It wasn't covered in blood. Neither were the clothes. Connor said, let's be careful. Something is in here with us. We could hear movement shifting from one side to the other. What's going on? I don't know, I said. Did you lock the doors before we came down? Of course I did. I didn't want anyone getting out without us knowing. Then, from out of the shadows, we saw a creature. A very deadly creature. It was a mind flayer. I yelled, run! Now! We gotta get out of here! What? Why? Then Connor was hit with some sort of astral blast, if that made any relevant sense. And he was knocked out good. It was quite sad to see. I shot at the creature, trying to do everything in my power to kill the thing. I saw Connor writhing in pain. He was shaking quite violently. I said, Connor, wake up! It's not real. Whatever you're seeing, it does not exist. I had never fought a mind flayer myself, but I've heard legends. A lot of rumors of mind flayers. Dangerous, dangerous creatures. Very few have even remotely come close to the idea of killing a mind flayer. This was only the beginning. After I killed the creature with several more well-placed shots to the cranium, I looked at Connor. I tried shaking him, waking him up, but nothing happened. I thought to myself, he's probably in some sort of trance. He'll probably wake up in a few days or something like that. And then I remembered there was a second hunter still here, and if they had turned it into a mind flare, then this is going to get bad fast if I don't find that creature and put it down permanently. I ran back up the stairs with Connor on my back. I handed him to a guard and said, get him to a medical wing. Make sure he's fine. Then I ran around the castle. I heard screams. I ran as fast as I could and found a servant being feasted upon by the mind flayer. Her head was ripped open and a tongue from the mind flayer seeped into her mind, began to slowly feed on the brains inside. I shot the mind flayer almost instantly. I cut his tongue and he writhed in pain. I walked over and continued to blast his head until there was no more in my gun or of his head. The creature was dead. That's all I cared about. I said, this is going to be bad. If a mind flayer is alive, well, we're going to be in some serious trouble.